I'm telling you, Awkwafina's good. She's way better than what she's been in recently. I swear to it. I know people look at me. I'm not crazy. I'm a little crazy, but I'm not crazy on that. Hello and welcome to another edition of Popcorn Bucket List. We have survived spooky season.
We made it.
Technically, we're recording this on Monday, so Halloween is still to come for us. Yeah, I mean, we'll be fine, right?
I hope so.
Nothing bad's gonna happen to us, right? As long as no one out there around town finds some ancient curse or opens some dusty old book. If any of you out there do that, don't open it on Halloween. If any Halloween movies have taught me anything, don't touch anything old on Halloween night.
Don't do anything bad on Halloween
On Halloween night, exactly, yeah. But anyways, temperatures are getting chillier out there. How you doing? How you surviving the cooler temps, man? That came out of nowhere, it felt like.
Yeah, I know you probably won't like this, but still got the moped out.
I really was hoping when the temperatures went down, because you said when it would get colder, you'd stop riding this moped so much. Yep. And I know it seems like I'm getting very frustrated over a moped, but what you guys don't understand is this guy talks about this moped more than he talks about his children. And it's just annoying because he thinks it makes him, he treats it like it's a Harley, and it's
my hog.
It's not a hog. It's barely a hot dog.
We'll put a picture on.
It's barely a hot dog. It's not a hog. All right. That's enough of that. Let's get into a little bit more of movie talk. That's what we're here for, right? So let's talk a little bit about movies. We're going to do something a little bit different here this week. Usually at the top of the month, we introduce and we talk about our new display over at the Marshall Lyon County Library. We're still going to technically do that. However, that is not going to be our opening spotlight here this month. Something else kind of last minute came up, so to speak. So we're going to talk about that. We'll get more into that here just a little bit. But we are still going to just sort of briefly introduce this month's topic. Not only is there a Elvis or a Priscilla Presley document or movie coming out here this month, also Napoleon. So pretty big month for biopics.
Yes.
So we thought we would talk a little bit about biopics, some of the best ones that we think, in our opinion. We kind of had different definitions for best biopics.
Yes.
Just a little bit of conversation we had earlier. So it's going to be interesting. We'll talk more about that later on, but by the end of this week, you should be able to head on over there and check them out if you so please. But with that, let's move on to the opening spotlight, and it's a little bit more of a downer one here this week. Again, we record these on Monday, so it's still pretty fresh in our minds. However, by the time you guys check this out here later on in the week, it will be almost a week since it was reported Matthew Perry unfortunately died at his New York apartment last weekend. As we were kind of talking here, I mean, obviously everyone knows him as Chandler on Friends, although maybe not, because you really didn't. You got him confused with Joey there for a second, I think.
I'm not a Friends guy.
And with that, 100 Friends fans just drew up arms and is now charging towards your house.
That's all right.
What, are you going to defend him with your moped?
Nope. Hadley will.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Don't go to his house, guys.
Better watch out.
Hadley will take you down. I'm sorry. You've been warned. But it did kind of occur to me, he's best known for Friends, but he's got a few other interesting things I think are worth talking about and checking out here. We could talk a lot about his TV career and everything like that, but we're just going to focus on the movie side.
Yeah, because I would say with his TV career, it's either single episodes or maybe 3 or 4 episodes of a little arc, part of another show. Nothing as obviously as stapled as Friends was, but these was in quite a few other things for just small, very minor roles.
Yes, that is true. Like you alluded to, a lot of minor TV show appearances. He was actually a recurring character in one show, Boys Will Be Boys, but that was only on for like one season.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird premise there. I'm not going to get too much into that one, I feel like. But really kind of the first movie that he made it into the cinema world. I feel like I got to talk about this one, because looking into this one a little bit, there's some interesting fun facts about this movie. She's Out of Control. This was in 1989 was really when he made his cinema debut. A little bit of a minor character. Basically, it's a movie about a daughter who goes a little crazy, or kind of rebels against her father, played by Tony Danza, by the way, which then I think led to him getting another cameo in another episode in Who's the Boss?
Who's the Boss? Yep.
He made some friends in Hollywood here. I have not seen this one. I feel like I kind of want to, though.
I want to now.
Because I read a fun fact. In case you haven't heard, back in the day, there was these very famous movie reviewers named Siskel and Ebert. Some people have compared us to them.
Yep.
Which is an easy comparison to make, let's be honest here. But one of them said, quote, I believe it was Gene Siskel, he was about ready to quit his job as a movie reviewer because he thought this movie was so bad.
Was the worst thing he's ever seen.
And then he saw another one later on that day. I forget which one it was called. I didn't write it down. I think it starred a young John Cusack. But then it kind of brought him back a little bit from the edge, I guess. But yeah, supposedly this one was so bad he almost quit his job as a movie reviewer. So that makes me wonder, was it actually that bad, or was he? I mean, we see more and more of this nowadays where people say these dramatic things to get attention or whatever like that. Was he just kind of exaggerating a little bit?
Yeah.
I have to know now.
Yeah. And also, like, was it really not that bad and he was just having a bad day? And
I've had those moments.
Because there's times where I've gone to watch movies or like almost went to go watch movies, but just said, you know what? I'm not in the mood right now. And if I go watch this, I'm not going to like it. I've done that before.
And there are some times where I have then gone to a movie and was in a bad mood. And I was like, I just don't like this movie. It's not good. And then I'll rewatch it later on. And I was like, I don't know why I was so hard on this guy.
Yeah. Yep.
It wasn't his fault, but so yeah, that was kind of the breakout one, 1989. She's Out of Control. Obviously, then about 5 years later, the breakout year for him was 1994. He did star in a few other movies that had been kind of produced beforehand, but obviously that was the premiere of Friends, a show that he was on for 10 seasons.
Yep.
The big movies kind of came after that, and these are the ones he's a little bit more known for that I want to talk about a little bit more. First one, Fools Rush In. This was a rom-com that also co-starred Salma Hayek. I believe they would have done this, looks like 1997, so a few seasons into Friends at this point. Matthew Perry, on many occasions, has said this was one of his best movies, he thought, and one of his most favorite performances.
Yep. I've heard him say that before, that was one that he enjoyed making it, and he just had fun, and he liked the final product. I guess he said he was really proud of.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising to some people because a lot of people don't consider that his best one or anything like that. So that one kind of makes me a little bit more curious as well. I got to give a little shout out here. Same year, another movie that came out, Almost Heroes, co-starred with Chris Farley. Was not reviewed very well. But that was the case with a lot of Chris Farley movies.
A lot of people,
they loved him on SNL, and they loved him as a person, but for some reason his movies never translated very well, or they gained a little bit more popularity later on. Like I think that's kind of what happened with Tommy Boy.
Yep. A little bit more of the cult following, not necessarily the critical response or the critic success right away. Yeah.
But yeah, unfortunately, you got these two comedy legends here. Still wasn't enough to get a good review there. However, one of his more popular ones, The Whole 9 Yards. This one came out in 2000. This one is probably considered to be one of the more recognizable, more well-known of Matthew Perry's movies. This is the one he co-stars with Bruce Willis. And I feel like this is a little bit more of a known fact nowadays, but for some of you Friends fans, especially who know out there, Bruce Willis cameoed for a few episodes on Friends. The story goes, the reason why he agreed to it was because he lost a bet to Matthew Perry while they were filming this movie. I don't know what the bet was. I don't know how he won it or whatever, but supposedly he lost a bet and he was like, all right, you got to guest star on my show now or whatever. He would later on return the favor. That same year, Bruce Willis back in the 90s, early 2000s. Can we take a moment? Can we take a moment and talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
Action star, dramatic movies. The guy was doing it all.
He was the man.
I had to pause there and just kind of shout out to Bruce Willis, man. We'll have to do a special on him one of these days, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, same year that The Whole 9 Yards came out, The Kid came out with Bruce Willis. This is another thing maybe some of you don't know out there. Matthew Perry makes a cameo in this movie. He is uncredited, and he was paid minimum wage. He is a heavily bearded, I can't remember the scene, but he's like a very heavily bearded, I don't know if he's a homeless guy, but he's just very unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Reportedly, he was in makeup for 3 hours to put off this look. He's in the movie for 40 seconds.
It's awesome. I love it.
They did have kind of a friendship here,
Yeah.
Matthew Perry and Bruce Willis did. So it was kind of this little like back and forth they were doing there for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun, especially at arguably the peaks of both their careers was that late 90s, early 2000s right there.
See, and that kind of reminds me of the whole like the prequel trilogy for Star Wars. There was a lot of big name celebrities that played stormtroopers. But you couldn't tell because they were whether or not they were just in there for a scene or for 5 seconds. But they just wanted to say, "Hey, I was in a Star Wars movie," and so like there's a lot of people that said they've done it. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they have. So that was kind of cool. I like when kind of going back to Tropic Thunder. People didn't know that was Tom Cruise right away.
Yeah.
Like, I love when actors do that or kind of just like, yeah, I was a part of that. I was this guy right here. Or Peter Jackson in The Lord of the Rings. He looks like a homeless man. And it's cool.
Well, and I was going to say with the Stormtroopers thing, I have to assume it didn't take him 3 hours of makeup to do that. So you get to say you're in a Star Wars and you probably, it takes you at max 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 10 minutes to put the costume on. 20 minutes to like shoot the scene.
We need you to walk from here.
From point A to point B.
We need you to walk 40 paces and don't hold your gun up here.
And we're going to pay you $40,000 to do it probably.
Yes.
Also, just quickly, I want to mention here, they did end up doing a sequel to The Whole 9 Yards. Mm-hmm. They called it The Whole 10 Yards. Clever.
Wow.
Hollywood at its finest. They did this around 2004, so right when Friends was kind of ending there. Unfortunately, that one did not receive very good critical attention at all. I think it had like an 8% Rotten Tomatoes score when I was looking at it. Not good. Not good. But the final movie we're going to talk about here, this is actually the final movie Matthew Perry had started all the way back in 2009. It had been a while. He kind of left it. He did some other TV. I also read a little bit of an article here. He had been working on a lot of stage productions as well. He'd been doing a little bit of writing there. So kind of abandoned the movie era. But his final movie, 17 again, with Zac Efron.
Very good person to start with in your last film.
Yeah, but remember, Zac Efron's supposed to be the younger version of Matthew Perry.
That's true.
I've seen younger photos of Matthew Perry. In a weird way, actually, though, now that I think about it, this was kind of a full circle moment. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but do you remember that show I talked about early on that was only on for like one season or whatever? Hold up, I'm trying to find the name of it again here. Boys Will Be Boys.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, no.
So the premise for that movie was essentially an older version having to go back and interacting with the younger version of them to make their life better. Mm-hmm. And when you kind of look at 17 again, it's actually kind of a very similar premise. It's not old Matthew Perry going back to young Zac Efron, but it is him kind of turning back the time to a younger version of himself to kind of fix his life a little bit here. Whether or not that was intentional or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But now that I'm kind of thinking about it here, it kind of was a full circle moment for him to land on that movie, I feel like.
Yeah, yeah.
But with that, let's move on here to the weekly preview. I actually got quite a bit of stuff to talk about here this weekend, so let's get right into it here. First things first, actually, one of these movies will already be out by the time this episode comes out here, Wednesday, November 1st, Wing Woman. This will be coming out to Netflix, a French movie. Very good, yeah. That is correct, yes. You cultured man of the world, you. Throwing me off my game here now. A French movie where it follows these three women who are planning a big heist, one of the biggest of their lives. You may recognize one of the stars, Melanie Laurent. She was in Now You See Me. She was in other things as well. She's kind of known as one of those French actors who's mainly known in the French cinema, but every once in a while when Americans need a French actor, we steal her for a little bit too.
Yep. You know what I recognize her from?
I know, but I didn't want to say it because I
Quentin Tarantino movie that I will not say the name.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. I knew
she was awesome in it. Fantastic.
I'm sure she was. Yeah.
She was great.
I got her confused with the other girl who's in Tenet. The other really tall blonde one. I thought it was her for a second there too. But looks to be some fun action in this one. Don't expect a lot of high-octane thrills, I feel like, with this one. But there is one point where they are in wingsuits. Yep. So, I mean, taking a book out of Tom Cruise's way of
Only
heist,
if they did it themselves.
Maybe they did. I don't know.
That'd be cool if they did. We'll have to watch the movie and find out.
I don't think they did, but it would be cool. It would be
never
cool
know.
If they did.
Never know.
But the final thing I got to say about this one here, filmed in Europe, like I said, is a French movie, got subtitles and everything like that, but setting of it, man, it looks pretty.
Looks pretty.
I got to travel more. I got to head over to Europe.
You do. It's awesome.
I know you've done a little traveling over there, and you can't stop talking about it, man. And I've seen the pictures, and I can't blame you.
It's pretty sweet.
Most of the time when you keep rambling about stuff, I'm like getting annoyed by it and everything like that. The moped, for example. But, I got to give you that one. It looks pretty cool. But Friday, November 3rd, the big premieres here this weekend. Priscilla coming out to theaters. Last year, we got the Elvis biopic. Now we get to see the other side of the story.
The other side of the same coin.
Yep, that's right. We're flipping the coin. Moving on over to Priscilla Presley's life, taking a look at her story. You would think being married to the king would make you the queen, but spoiler alert, things are not as always as they seem.
No. Nope. So this will be interesting because they kind of play the, in the trailer, the dad has a talking role. So it'll be kind of interesting how they explore that.
And he asked some very good questions. Yeah. Questions I wish they had asked in the Elvis biopic.
Yeah.
I find it interesting because in the Elvis biopic, they do mention she's a teenager when he marries her.
Yeah.
They neglect or forget to mention the teenager in question was a 14-ager.
Yeah.
14. She was 14 when Elvis married her.
Yeah.
That's not right.
You
can't use it was a different time excuse on that one. That's just not right.
Yeah, it's a little goofy.
Yeah. This one was written and directed by Sofia Coppola. Obviously, speaking of royalty, Francis Ford Coppola. Sophia's directed a few movies of her own as well. Very good films, I should say, here. And I think this one looks kind of like her visual style, looks very good. Acting looks very good and everything like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're usually the one who's got your finger on the pulse as far as controversy along the internet here. Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Was there a little bit of controversy with the Elvis estate? I thought they made some sort of uproar about this movie or something like that.
I guess I can't necessarily for sure say if it was this movie, but I do remember hearing the estate was not happy about something, but I don't recall if it was this. I don't think it was the Elvis movie.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. It wasn't last year.
Yeah,
it was definitely something this year.
Yeah, it must have been about.
I'm trying to
this
remember.
movie.
It had to have been, right?
Yeah, but every once in a while, all those estates, like Prince's estate, Michael Jackson's, like all that stuff, something pops up and they get huffy about something. I want to say I think it was for this.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. But I guess what I'm trying to say about that and everything is I feel like there's an old saying I've heard where if a tree falls down in a forest, there are three sides to the story: yours, mine, and the trees. And what I'm trying to say here is We had the Elvis biopic. That was one side of the story.
Yep.
We're going to have the Priscilla's biopic. That's another side of the story. Only they're really going to know the truth of what happened.
Yeah.
All the time. I don't know if we'll ever know the full story.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have two sides of the same story.
Yep.
How much each of those are true?
Don't know.
We really don't know. Also coming out this weekend here, What Happens Later. Also coming to theaters, the Queen of Rom-Coms returns to not only a starring role, but Meg Ryan also wrote and directed this movie. Two people who used to be in a relationship get snowed in at an airport terminal and reminisce about what is and what could have been.
Yep.
I've said my piece on rom-coms before. Can't say my opinion has changed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just seemed like there was a few funny moments.
Yeah. And this is hard because I think we're aligned very similar on where we stand on rom-coms. But I really like David Duchovny. I like him a lot. I like him more of a serious role, but still goofy. Like, I loved him in the X-Files, Californication. I like him as an actor a lot. And, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure maybe we'll watch it, but I like David Duchovny a lot.
You are a big David fan.
Yeah.
I do know that about you. So, and I know there are a lot of people out there who are big Meg Ryan fans.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to kind of see her on screen in general here again as well. Also coming out here this weekend, Fingernails, coming to Apple TV Plus. This is a romantic movie with a little bit of sci-fi technology in it here.
Little bit.
Just a little bit. Basically, in this movie, in this world, the technology has been invented that can test whether two people are truly meant for each other, are truly in love and everything.
Yep.
I think it's by their fingernails.
I think it's why.
Which is weird. I mean, that's why it's part of the movie. But they show them kind of clipping a few of them and like testing the fingernails.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I don't know how love works. Maybe it is in the fingernails. I don't know.
Either.
I want to know what love is.
This it's an interesting concept. I like the concept. This reminds me of like a concept that you could make a very space agey, almost like a Blade Runner style movie. But this reminds me of like we're going back to like the 70s style. Like the coloring of everything is so brown, and so I don't remember what the official term for that style is, but and it's the classic like, oh, I'm dating, I am married, but this other guy might be my number one.
Yeah,
so,
she kind of, one of the main characters here, she does ask the question of like, well, is it possible to love two people, or is it possible the machine was wrong? And you have the Luke Wilson character here who kind of is like the inventor or the pusher of this technology is like, no, science is always right. We got to figure it out. We cracked the code and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, the truth is, love really isn't quantifiable like that.
So it'll be interesting. And like I like Raz. I really like him too.
This is a good week for you. There's a lot of people and a lot of things that you really like.
Yep.
This is a good week for you.
Busy week.
Hey, we talk a lot about movies on this channel, but sometimes the ones we talk about aren't the most accessible. That's where the Marshall Lyon County Library comes in handy. They have a great collection of physical media, as well as a couple of online services with many options for movies, TV shows, and documentaries. It's easy. Just get your own library card at the Marshall Lyon County Library and gain access to their large variety of movies, TV shows, and of course, books. Also, be sure to check back every month as we here at Popcorn Bucket List make specific movie recommendations based on a monthly theme. This month, we're taking a look at the best biographical pictures ever made. So head on over to the Marshall Lyon County Library for some of our favorites and check out the channel to get even more movie recommendations. And now, on with the show! Not to put you on the spot here, and we may cut this depending on your answer here.
Right.
If this technology were invented tomorrow, let's say, would you take this test with your spouse?
No, absolutely not.
You wouldn't take it?
Nope.
I think it is an easier question for someone like me to answer because looking for someone. But yeah, I'm curious if this movie would jump into like, okay, this technology got invented and showing a bunch of people then doing this test and like, well, because I don't know, the movie implies that the test figures out like 100% compatibility or whatever. There's just no such thing. I feel like
100%. Because there's days where we don't want to talk to each other because we're upset about something.
I feel that about everyone, though, to be honest.
But I also see, if you were to ask me this question before I was married, before I was dating, when I was just a single dude, I would say, oh yeah, I'd probably take the test before I decide to get married with somebody, because that's a big decision you have to make. But once you've already made the decision, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I already made the decision. It's done.
And for the record, you are happy. I want to point that out there. I don't want to.
Yes, she let me get a moped, so
yeah exactly.
It was awesome.
She lets you get away with too much, I feel like, sometimes. I don't know. I feel like I would take the test just to save time.
Yeah.
Be like, well, let's think I might to do this.
Different shoes. 5-10 years ago, I probably would take the test.
Yeah. Also coming out here this weekend, Nyad. Also coming to Netflix, a movie starring Annette Bening and Jodie Foster. This talks about the true story of the real-life Diane Nyad, who attempted to swim from Cuba to Florida in open waters. She was a pretty popular swimmer back in like the 70s. She had attempted this swim, unfortunately didn't make it. Now at her age of 60, she's like, again. If at first you don't succeed, wait 30 years and try it again. I think that's what the saying is, right? Yeah. That's how that works?
Yep. No, they'll be good. I do know a little bit about that kind of situation. My uncle, my dad's brother, he is ridden from California all the way back to New York on his pedal bicycle, not motorcycle, pedal bicycle. And he's I don't want to butcher his age, but he's getting up there. He's retired. So I mean, things are possible if you put your mind to it. A lot of things are possible.
Yeah, I think it's when it comes to a lot of these sort of challenges, if you are physically fit, it's not so much the physicality, it's the time. It's the time to do it. And yeah, it is that mentality.
Yep.
All the time when we're talking sports, I think it's way more of a mental game than a physical game, and sort of thing. So I'm curious to see how much of this movie dives into that.
Oh.
All right, let's keep moving along here. Like I said, quite a bit coming out this weekend. Pretty busy November in general here. Yep. So it'll be a lot to watch here. Don't you worry. Also coming out this weekend, also again to Netflix, Sly. This is a documentary about the man, the myth himself, Sylvester Stallone. Pretty self-explanatory here. It's a lot of interviews from a lot of people. Quentin Tarantino was in there too.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino's
that
awesome.
Would surprise. I mean, I'm not complaining, but that surprised me. Have they worked on something?
I don't know if they've worked on it.
I don't think they have.
Top of my head, I can't think. But Quentin is a huge fan of film, and I'm sure he's got some insight. And maybe they met. Maybe he auditioned for Reservoir Dogs or something way back in the day, and he just said, "Nope, you won't do this, but I really like you, and I want to see what you know what I mean." I could see Quentin doing that.
Because I'm trying to even think, like, there's other interviews with, like, Arnie in it, too. And obviously they had sort of a competitive rivalry and everything like that. And I'm even like, has Arnold even been in a Quentin Tarantino movie? Like, has anyone in, like, Sly's inner circle? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch it just to see why Tarantino's involved at all.
Well, Bruce Willis has, but I don't know.
That is right. Oh, actually, that might be it. Because if Bruce Willis was unable to do kind of an interview, maybe kind of Quentin took over that spot, because this looks like a pretty recent, documentary, pretty recent interviews and everything like that kind of talks about Sylvester's life. But for those of you who don't know, I mean, Sylvester Stallone, he's one of those poster childs of Hollywood who rose literally from rags to riches.
Yes, especially his early career. If you don't know, watching this, you'll probably see some things about him that you had no idea.
Yeah,
no idea.
And how he became one of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. There's not a lot of people who had a better decade in the 80s than that guy did.
Yep.
I mean, he defeated Russia in 2 separate franchises.
yeah.
2 separate franchises. Most only had one. He did it in Rambo and Rocky.
Yeah.
But finally, let's wrap things up here in the weekly preview. One more to talk about here. Quiz Lady, coming out to Hulu. A comedy movie starring Awkwafina and Sandra Oh, also Jason Schwartzman and Will Ferrell. After their mother goes missing, these 2 sisters have to get some money together to pay off her debts. I don't know if the movie trailer does enough to justify this. I feel like they're saying the guy maybe kidnapped her, who the mom owed money to, and he's like, you get her back when I get the money.
Yeah.
I don't know if the trailer really portrayed that very well, but that's what I got from it.
Okay.
So they realize they have to raise some money. What they find out is one of the sisters, she's pretty smart, pretty good at this quiz show. So they go cross country to get her into the quiz show and hopefully win.
Win some money. Win some of that cash, that Bitcoin.
I would like to point out here, I think this is something people don't realize a lot of. They shoot these quiz shows and everything really in advance. So even if she does win this, they're not going to see that money for quite a while. So Grandma's still missing for a bit here.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Anyways, as far as the movie itself, I think when you watch sometimes comedy trailers, there's sometimes where you'll watch one and there's a few where you get some good, genuine laughs. And then there's some moments in that same trailer where you're kind of like, that wasn't as funny.
Yeah.
So then you ask yourself, it's going to land on one side or the other.
Yep.
It's not going to fall in the middle when you see the full movie. So it's really, when I see a trailer like this, it's kind of taking a bet. Do I actually think this is going to be laugh out loud funny, or is this going to be a huge waste of my time?
Yep.
Call me an optimist. Call me, I have a bias towards Awkwafina. I will defend her and her comedy and her acting till my grave. I don't care how many bad movies she's in.
Yep.
But I think this is going to be funny.
Good. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it'll be funny. I don't know if it's going to be the laugh out loud top tier comedy movie that I would like it to be.
I'm calling it comedy of the year. You heard it here first.
Oh my. Wow.
Throwing it down.
Wow. No, I think it'll be good. I think it'll be funny. They're funny actresses, so it'll be good. And Will Ferrell's in it. I don't know how much he's in it, but I think it'll be good.
It looks like the same outfit he wore for Barbie. I'm pretty sure he just walked off the set in between takes of Barbie and just did his takes there. Which, good for him. I don't know. I'm calling my shot on that one. I think it's going to be good, and I'm willing to admit if I'm wrong if I check it out this week, and I am wrong. But I'm telling you, Awkwafina's good. She's way better than what she's been in recently. I swear to it. I know people look at me. I'm not crazy. I'm a little crazy, but I'm not crazy on that. All right. Anyways, let's wrap things up here as we always do. Let's end with some number one recommends. I'll kick us off here this time. I'm going to soft recommend Killers of the Flower Moon. It is a long movie. Don't get me wrong. If you do not have 3.5 hours to kill, I do not blame you.
Yep.
It took me a while to find 3.5 hours to kill, but overall the acting is very good, and the story I think needs to be told. So I think that's what kind of kept me in on it. But the reason why I bring that up is because also this week I've been kind of figuring out what I'm going to be ranking / reviewing this week. I try to do one of these every week. I said I was going to do the Taylor Swift one a couple weeks ago. I didn't do that. I watched Cats for nothing. Anyways, but in my quest to review this movie, I looked at all of the Leonardo DiCaprio Scorsese team-ups. And one of them is going to be the one I'm going to recommend here, Shutter Island.
Ooh.
This, in my opinion, is the best DiCaprio-Scorsese team-up. And oddly enough, I think this might be the only one that's not based on a true story, or The Departed. That was also an original one. Yeah. But everything they've done since or up to that point, I think pretty much, with the exception of The Departed, was like based on a true story. This one is a completely fictional thing. It's a really interesting thrill ride. Unfortunately, the big plot twist was spoiled to me a long time ago.
Oh.
Even though it had been spoiled to me, it was still a really interesting mystery, and it was still a really fun ride for me. Great performances. Probably one of his best well-shot ones, I think, too.
Yeah.
Because that location is very scary, but not too scary.
Yeah.
It's like a macabre to
I remember, because that was one of the ones, actually, when it first came out. I liked it, but it wasn't like... That was really, like, it wasn't like, wow, this is so good. And then I watched it a couple of years later, and it changed my mind. It was one of those ones I was probably in not the right mood to watch that movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was okay. And then it was like, wow.
You sit down and rewatch it again.
Yeah, and it was like, this is great.
Yeah. So that's my number one recommend here this week. Ryan, take us away. What are you recommending here this week?
Coming at you with some hot takes today. I am recommending, not that.
Oh.
South Park Into the Panderverse. Oh, boy, did I love it. It was fantastic. The South Park boys, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, back at it again. They were great. pokes fun at Disney, pokes fun of Kathleen Kennedy. It also pokes fun of the people that are calling out Disney and Kathleen Kennedy, and the subplot of kind of a little bit of like the coronavirus, going to school, paying for college, not going to college, and then the Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg MMA fight.
Oh, where they were almost going to like fight each other.
It's top tier. If you are a fan of South Park, I highly recommend watching it. And one of the things I love about South Park is they make fun of everything and everybody. And this is just what's popular in the culture right now, and that's what they're doing. 5 years from now, something else is going to be going on, and they're going to be making fun of that. So I enjoy it. It's great. Have to check it out.
Well, that's going to do it for us here on this episode of Popcorn Bucket List. Again, check out our display over at the Marshall Lyon County Library for more suggestions on the best biopics. Again, we will be talking about that later on this month, but you can check them out a little bit early. And be sure to check out the movies that we talked about on this episode and past ones over at the Marshall 6 Theater here in Marshall, Minnesota. For myself and Ryan Myberg, we'd like to thank you so much for watching, and we will see you at the movies.